Welcome to Yorvo, Hammer Time. As far as our opening hand, yeah, we'll keep on this one. I like this. We've got Nature's Lore, we've got Return to Nature, very nature-heavy hand with double nature cards. And then we also got No Mage Shepherd. I don't have a ton of creatures right now at this point to kind of support that, but playing against Golos, I'd assume there's probably a lot of ramp on that side of the battlefield. And it's a nice card to have in your opening hand. So I'm just going to lead off with Force and then anything else. And no, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Yorvo, Mr. Hammer Time himself. Yorvo enters the battlefield with 4+1 counters on it and a hammer. It's just in the art. Whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1 counter on Yorvo, and we're going to pop that Soul Ring pretty quick. That's going to be a very good thing for us to do. So let's go Force. Let's go Return to Nature. Hit that Soul Ring. Go on, get. Get out of here, Soul Ring. Get. And then pass it over to our opponent. So, Yorvo, we get a +1 counter whenever a green creature enters the battlefield on our side, and then if that creature has a higher power or toughness, then we get an extra +1 counter. So, I'll take it. And we also potentially dodged a pretty quick Golos, which I'm very happy about. So, let's go Force. Let's go, I guess, Yorvo. Just kind of go for a counterspell test. I mean, that'll be a turn 3, 4/4, dude. And if they get, oh, there we go, 4/4. All right, anything else? Pass turn over to our opponent. Playing against Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. Whenever Golos enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a land card, put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. Then for a 2-mana Wooburg, yes, yes, that feels good. All right, we're gonna go Force. Let's go for Beast Whisper. And yeah, I kind of like that. So we're going to go Beast Whisper. That's going to allow us to get an extra counter on Yorvo, and at the same time allow us to start casting through some of these creatures. So let's go and swing in with Yorvo Hammer Time. It's going to knock them down to 25, and that's going to be 5 total commander damage, and then kick it back over there. So play gets Golos, enters the battlefield, search your library for a land, then for a 2-mana Wooburg activation, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn without paying their mana cost. So let's see what we run into for the turn. We run into another forest. I think at this point we just want to cash in card draw. So let's go for No Mage Shepherd. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. That's going to be an extra card draw from the Shepherd. And actually, we're actually getting pretty close to being able to go for those activations. Let's have No Mage Shepherd enter the battlefield. That's going to be an extra +1 counter on your. Oh, and we run into Nissa. Let's go and push across with the crew. That's going to be 8 coming across. And our opponent just said that they really needed that Soul Ring. So, yeah, that's how artifact destruction goes. That's sometimes you just hit that one. There's a lot of times where you get something down, and you're like, oh, I need it really bad. So, hopefully we'll see how this game plays out. We'll try to record another game, but it looks like they finally did hit another land. So, we did cover both commanders. It is officially free time. Let's have some fun. Now, as far as this Yorvo build, I'm really digging it so far. Being able to cast creatures and get like a +1 counter effect, or building a kind of this value engine that cares about casting creatures, whether it's card draw with Beast Whisper, whether it's getting +1 counters with Yorvo. It's just a lot of fun to play. Then the fact that you add in all these elves that we're running in here. This is basically just elf tribal without Azuri being the actual commander himself. This is kind of a starting point though for Yorvo, so I'm going to see what sort of elf creature base is going to end up working out for us. But at this point right now, we've just got a bunch of mana dorks and just got a bunch of, I don't know, there's just a lot of overlapping synergy with these elves that allow us to generate a ton of mana and at the same time pump up Yorvo. Like we have Cloudstone Curio hanging around in here. And with that Cloudstone Curio, that really helped. Oh, look at, yeah, that could have been pretty rough with that Tri-Builder out there and into Soul Ring. But we've got some good stuff in here. You know, Elvish Archdruid is going to allow us to, a lot of these elves to tap for extra mana. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Return of the Wild Speaker, and we've got effects like that, which are just absolutely beautiful. So let's go for Yavimaya Hollow. Now at this point, we go for Thunderfoot Baloth. That's going to be a +1 counter on Yorvo, and I think that's going to make it 7. That's going to make it an 8. Then we get the +2. That's going to make it 11. That might be the game. We're going to try this. I think this is it. If I'm right in my head, I think this is going to be correct. All right, so we're going to need a card draw because we're going to have Thunderfoot Baloth enter the battlefield, and then with the static effect, I don't know how it's going to work, but I think we might end up with enough to close it out with commander damage. So we're going to have Thunderfoot Baloth enter the battlefield. No, okay, excuse me. So we're going to, yeah, it's going to be an 8/8. So I was thinking it'd be like an 8/8 with Thunderfoot Baloth. All right, so it's going to be a 9/9. Let's go and push in with the entire crew. That's going to be 13/17. Yeah, either way, even if the Tri-Builder blocks, it's going to be lethal. You know, this is what Mono Green wants to do. just want to swarm the board and get a lot of stuff down, and just kind of luckily we're able to kind of pop that Soul Ring really quick and kind of clear the way for us. And we got pretty lucky with a lot of these creatures. But you can see we're going for Thunderfoot Baloth. We are running that Elf Tribal aspect in here, just dumping creatures on the battlefield, then getting down something like Thunderfoot Baloth to kind of clear the way. It's a really nice feeling. So with recording with Yorvo, sometimes I'm ending up with these weird quick games, so you just may see kind of a hodgepodge of Yorvo games. But if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to the first Sliver. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got one land. This does not... I like everything else in here, but we're probably not getting anything going pretty quick. That's going to be Volcanic Island, Path of Ancestry. Yeah, this is good. I like this. I like to see a little bit more ramp, but we've got some slivers in here and we get the job done. As far as what we want to put on the bottom, I think I'm going to get rid of Quick Sliver. Well, we might need that against mono blue. I guess we get rid of Leeching Sliver because that's going to give us an option to kind of keep us in some sort of flash territory with mono blue, destruction. Yeah, I think we get rid of Leeching Sliver. I love that that aristocrat effect, but having haste with your slivers is just really, really explosive. But yes, welcome to the first sliver. Little 8-pound, 6-ounce baby sliver. Don't even know a word yet. Freshly, they're not the second one, the first one. So we're playing the first sliver, Cascade. Then sliver spells you have, you cast have Cascade, which is if you haven't played the first sliver, ooh my goodness, this is good. Some good magic. You can definitely go and check that. This is some good magic box on your score sheet. So let's see. Path to Discovery enters the battlefield tapped. All right, that's perfect. So we're going to have that come down, and then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. We're playing against Arcanis, the Omnipotent. Tap, draw 3 cards, then for a 4-mana activation, return Arcanis to its owner's hand. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to see where the first sliver was born, kind of see all these weird little eggshells and get kind of scared, makes you feel like you're on the ship from Alien, hey, head on over to MTGOTraders. They've got you covered. You can even take your family and take some family pictures there. Your small ones might be scared, but hey, that's part of the experience. Also, let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com. If your family's scared from seeing all these kind of sliver hatchlings, which rightfully so, that would be pretty scary, head over to inkgaming.com, use coupon code JOLT to kind of squash y'all's fears and get something to treat your family very nice, whether it's a play mat or a dice bag, whatever floats y'all's boat. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. You can help support cool content like this. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So there we go. We've got Path of Disco coming down, which, yeah, we can tap for any color with that. And I guess we just go Tundra. At this point, we're just kind of slow rolling to see what sort. We just want to make sure we hit all of our colored land drops at this point, and then I pass it over to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders, cover our sponsors. If you're keeping score at home, it is officially free time. We can have some fun. So it's been a minute since I played the first sliver. As far as any changes to the deck, this is I did add what is it? Crystalline Sliver, I think. I think that's what it is. The one that gives all of the slivers shroud. I did not incorporate that card into my original deck building, and I think last game somebody a bunch of people like, I just would have searched up Crystalline Sliver and gave your whole team shroud, and I'm like, yeah, I would have done that if it was in the deck, and I completely skipped over it. So yeah, because the first sliver, it's my first attempt at a sliver deck. So as far as you think about your working memory with Magic, I have a lot of working memory with Magic, but as far as slivers go, I just never play slivers. And so I know of the the more popular slivers, but overlooking something like I'm not digging through all of the slivers and being, oh yeah, I need to have all these on there, and so I just kind of skipped over. So the Shroud Sliver is in here, which allows us to kind of get things going on our side of the battlefield. Other than that, if you don't know anything about the deck, this is kind of, I'm looking at the deck list right now, it kind of skews a little bit more towards, I guess, kind of like a teamer deck in a way. We are still splashing a lot of white. Excuse me. Okay. All right, so it's going to be Declaration of Not, and that's gonna be the first sliver. Probably more than likely. We'll see that come down. They don't have blue mana, so they can't cast it. So they're gonna have to leave out blue mana. Luckily, we do have sacrifice a sliver, destroy this permanent. So we'll probably end up going for that, especially with them going shields down. And so let's see what they end up naming. Maybe they might name Cat Burglar. Declaration of Not. Let me pull that card up. Cat Burglar. Yeah. So I was playing Modern one time, and I was playing. Imagine this: I was playing a Mortal Servitude Aristocrats, and one of my sack outlets was Cartel Aristocrat, and my opponent got down like a pithing needle effect, and they tried to name Cartel Aristocrat, but they accidentally named Cat Burglar. Which is not modern legal. And every time somebody has an opportunity to name something, I always think about that, and it just really makes me laugh. So, all right, so let's go Marsh Flats, where our opponent shields down on blue mana. We want to jam this Necrotic Sliver at this point. So, and now here's the downside: we did rip into Ancestral Vision, which is a little bit of a bummer because that's something that we can cascade into with the quick Sliver, which is pretty nice. Let's grab a black source. I think that'd be good. Black, white. Yeah, this is exactly what this one is. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have one in here. Let's have a Necrotic Sliver. There we go. That's going to be Commander Scurry for 1. Oh, and look at the value of Path of Ancestry. That's wonderful. We're going to definitely take that Scry and have that enter the battlefield. That'll definitely allow us to deal with Declaration. We'll see if we actually want to end up popping Necrotic Sliver because destroy target permanent. What we can do is leave this on the... Oh, I thought our opponent was flashing that in for a second because it's perfectly on the stack. I was like, oh. Shadow is going to be... We want that because that's going to be 1, 2, 3... I think we'll put that on the bottom because if we can find like another 2 Sliver, I don't really want to pop Necrotic Sliver, but if we have to end up sacrificing Quick Sliver, I think that's okay. Now we will see if I'm about to say our opponent might be leaving up Force of Will or something like that, but if not, then we'll simply just going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So, but yeah, with Cat Burglar, it's a 4 mana card from Exodus, and 3 mana activation. Target player chooses and discards a card. Play this ability as a sorcery. So, I guess technically, if they wanted to name like Pithing Needle and Cat Burglar, that would be correct. But man, when they did that, I could not stop laughing because cat. And then you go to look up Cat Burglar. Like, first of all, you don't know it's a card. Like, I'd assume a lot of people don't really play with Cat Burglar. It's not that good. And so, like, Cat Burglar, okay. And then I go and I look it up, and it's got some pretty goofy art on there. And so, either way, it was pretty good. It was good to see that. So, anytime somebody names something like Declaration of Nod or Pithy Needle, I always think of Cat Burglar. Maybe you will too now. You can be like, are you naming Cat Burglar? Okay, cool. Okay, so we have Cryptolith Right, which is actually a pretty good draw for the turn. Okay, if we end up we go Ancient Tomb, and I think what we might end up doing, we've already made the land drop. Let's go and push in for 2 on our opponent because I want them to kind of go shields down for a second, and then we can flash in quick sliver. Or we can still basically just leave this open activation up. So that'll be pretty good. So because that's going to be 1, 2, and then 3 mana for the activation. So anything else, pass it back over to our opponent. Hopefully we do. Now with us going Ancient Tomb, that kind of does set us a turn back on the first Sliver. But either way, we still have to deal with Declaration. So that's kind of what we're trying for at this point right now. That's going to be a 3 mana activation. That should be correct. Set your library for a basic land card. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's go and flash in Quick Sliver. That's going to allow us to get a little bit of scurry, some scry action, which is going to be good. And then we can sacrifice it with Ancient Tomb and Tundra on that Declaration of Not. Now, that does leave us open to Stifle. Well, if they've got it, they've got it. But at least this is going to stop any sort of shenanigans. No funny business, Lebowski, from our opponent once we flash in Quick Sliver. So, okay, Soul Ring is a lot of mana, and yeah, that's fine. I don't mind hitting that. We do need to find a colored source, though, but with Cryptolith Right, yeah, we can certainly do with that. So let's go ahead and pop that Declaration. Thank you for your sacrifices, Quick Sliver. I certainly appreciate it. So there we go. We're going to pop that one, and we might Necrotic Sliver on Compass. I mean, if we can keep our opponent off blue mana, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They still have to get to 6 before they can go for that. So we do get in this position to where we can basically just kind of keep popping our slivers on their lands. And, as much as I don't enjoy land destruction, but in scenarios like this where we're trying to keep our opponent off, just countering everything that we can do, that may end up working out for us. And yeah, if we do end up going just Necrotic Sliver activations on their lands, I mean... It's crazier things can happen because we've got Volcanic Island on Blur Sliver, and then we can still pop one of their islands. I think that'll be pretty good. Yeah, because we just want to keep them off Arcanis as much as possible. So now they did grab an island off of the thematic compass, and so and if they control 7 or more lands, so they're definitely pretty far away from that. We do rip into that Soul Ring. Let's have a Volcanic Island come down. Do we want to go for that right now? Because we've got Cascade with the first Sliver. That'll still get us some good options. So let's go Blur Sliver. It's going to be 1, 2. A little hasty Sliver over there. We're going to have that come down. That will allow us to swing in. Now, if they've got counter magic, like I mentioned, they've got it. It's going to swing in for 4. Let's get in for 4 damage. I'll put them down to 28. But yeah, Slivers, for some reason, they've just never really appealed to me. Like, never had this burning urge to play Slivers. And so whenever they released the first Sliver, I was like, yes, this is, I was like, yeah. All right, it's time to finally do it, and we're going for it. So, and I'm glad I did. It's a really fun deck to pilot. You know, there are some builds that are very oppressive, but the way I tried to go with my deck is kind of more of a mid-rangey. Just get down a really hard board state that's hard to deal with, and so that's kind of what we were going for. Let's have. Oh, we should have used Path of Ancestry on that. I'm sorry. That was definitely a misplay on my part. So let's have Soul Ring come down. And they do have enough mana to activate Compass. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we pop one of their lands. I think that's okay. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go for, we're going to pop Manamo for sure. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. And that's going to, yeah, because we want to get rid of these lands. That's not going to be good for us at all. And we will have Ancestral Vision coming off Suspend in a couple turns. And so, if hopefully we keep ripping into Slivers. As we do end up hitting Slivers, we can try to basically just kind of like wasteland our way away from Arcanis. One of the main reasons why we are kind of doing their land destruction is I'm not a huge fan of it, but in a game like this, once Arcanis enters the battlefield, and especially if they give it a haste option, they pretty much they don't win the game on the spot, but once you have that activated ability of draw 3 cards, you can imagine if they untap with Manamo, that's going to be some stuff that's not really good for us. So let's have that, there we go, Commander Creature Scry, and then anything else, pass it over our opponent. So yeah, so if we can just kind of keep them down on lands, that's what we're going to try to do at this point right now. And interesting game so far. You know, we're just getting a few Sliver activations going. They haven't really got much going on their side of the battlefield either. And so we'll probably see that Thematic Compass activation. Now, they did search up this island. They haven't played it yet. So we'll see what other island they grab. There we go. So they got one that matches that one. So at least we know that 2 out of the 6 cards in their hand are basically just 2 islands that they have not played yet. So let's see. Now, one thing that we might want to do is even if we just end up popping Necrotic Sliver with, and they played that land. There we go. All right, so that's going to leave a regular island in their hand. So it's going to be still going to be 5 total mana. The other thing is if they do just tap out 6 mana for Arcanis, at the end of the day, that's going to allow us to just maybe go for a Necrotic Sliver just to get rid of it off the battlefield. So that might end up working out for us. Okay, so we've got Ancestral Vision not coming off Suspend, but getting rid of some of the Suspend. And let's get this island popped down just a little bit. There we go. And let's see what we draw into for the... Ooh, Sliver Queen. Okay, so I think at this point... Because that's our only green source. So because if we end up going 1, 2... So I have Cryptolith right come down. Because that's still going to give us access to Necrotic Sliver. So once we get this down, that'll allow us to really kind of deal with some of this stuff on our opponent's side of the battlefield. Okay, so we have Cryptolith right come down, and then I think we'll just going to go and pass the turn. So drawing into Sliver Queen is very nice because that does give us the option next turn of at least kind of building up our token army. And with Cryptolith right out there, that's basically just going to be a wonderful way for us to really start attacking our opponent's permanent. So instead of going for... Yeah, I guess we'll go and swing... I think we're okay. Necrotics, if our opponent flashes in Snapcaster just to trade, I would... that would not be a fun rest of the video, so we're not going to do that. I know we're giving up a little bit of damage on that, but Yeah, I'd much rather just keep Necrotic Sliver alive at this point right now. So, but no, with us ripping into Sliver Queen, that is pretty good because we can get Sliver Queen down, go for these 2 mana activations, and it's almost kind of like we're ramping, like a rampant growth every single time, just to have access to that. And then that's still going to give us access to Necrotic Sliver. So, if they end up going for Arcanis and we still have the activated ability, and that's one of the good things about playing against a mono blue deck, is that if they do get down to Arcanis, there are ways mono blue can deal with activated abilities, but typically you don't really see a lot of people run activated ability spells in their hand. Now, there are some good ones out there, stuff like Disallow, Trick Bind, Tails In, that will kind of stop some of these activated abilities, but at least against a mono blue deck, getting a lot of activated abilities going is a pretty good way to kind of combat the, trying to make sure all your spells go through the counterspell test, which is a pretty nice feeling. So opponent's going to go for a compass activation. They're going to grab an extra island, which is going to be this island right there. And so we'll see what they end up deploying out for the turn. All right, and that's going to be Vincer's Journal. You have no maximum hand size at the beginning of your upkeep. You gain 1 life for each card in your hand. Okay, all right, so we got Vincer's Journal coming down. That does leave them tapped out on mana, which is going to be pretty good for us. That'll just be 1 mana. And I think they make the island land drop for the turn? Yeah, they did play an island, but I was checking something on my deck list, so I didn't see which one they did. So I will probably do, I think it's that one. They haven't played, well, yeah, we'll just cross that one off. Just roll with it. All right, so we get Ancestral Vision, 2 more turns, and then ooh. Sliver creatures you control have flying and haste. I love Cloud Shredders. They're such a good card. Okay, so now if we end up going Sliver Queen, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have access, because that's going to be 2 for an activation, and then we can tap down Necrotic Sliver to keep them off a land drop. Yeah, let's do that. Or if we want to, we can try to sliver our way out of this one. Yeah, let's get old first Sliver down. I kind of like that. All right, so we're going to go Path of Disco, and that will be, let's make sure we're tapping down. That's going to be green, blue, black. Let's go white. Whenever we're tapping 5 colors, I always I'm like, oh. All right, so let's go Cascade first, and then get the Scry and Scurry trigger on the stack to see if that's something that we do want to kind of cascade into. Even if our opponent does have some sort of instant speed or force of will, at least with us having the Cascade ability, we're still getting some sort of value on the battlefield. So. Okay, Swords to Plowshares. We're definitely going to put that on the bottom for right now. And then let's see what we get, because that would have not been fun to cascade into. Nature's Lore. Yes, we will definitely do that. And the cool thing about Nature's Lore is we get to put that on the battlefield untapped, which is going to be very nice for us. So let's get old Nature's Lore. I guess at this point... So we're going to have first Sliver come down. If we want to go for Cloud Shredder Sliver, we almost need to kind of grab a Red Source. Grab Stomping Ground? Actually, we'll grab Taiga. Yeah, I think Taiga would be good. Taiga Uppercut. And have that come down. That's going to be the first Sliver. And here's the deal. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can't tap down the first Sliver just yet. Okay. All right. So that does make sense. So let's see. We could sacrifice it if we wanted to. We've got a pretty good chunk of mana at this point right now. If that's what we wanted to do. Yeah, let's just do this. Let's just go and pass the turn. Maybe I could have sequenced that one just a little bit differently, being able to give the first Sliver haste. And yeah, because I was thinking that for some reason, the way I tapped down Necrotic Sliver, I was thinking that we'd still be able to go for Cloud Shredder and still have that come down. But the way that kind of... Well, either way, we needed the 5 color. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, either way. Yeah, because we hit Taiga off of that. So either way, we had to tap down Necrotic. So either way. We're on the next turn. Doesn't matter. All right. So next turn, we've got some pretty good options. We've got Sliver Queen. That's going to be all of our colored sources. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That does give us the Cascade option. We still have access to at least 2 more colored sources with Necrotic Sliver and the first Sliver, so we can go for Cloud Shredder Sliver. But if we get Sliver Queen down, that'll be a pretty good Cascade. But I think at this point, we're just trying to hit some pretty good stuff. So we might end up just going Cloud Shredder Sliver. And the only downside is we do have Ancestral Vision in the deck for our slivers that are either 1 or 2, because that just immediately gives us some instant speed card draw, which is pretty nice. But we've got it on suspend, and we've got that coming off pretty soon. So In fact, we're going to get that popped up so we don't forget about it. And we'll see what our opponent does for the turn. And then our opponent is kind of, they're not playing slow, but they are behind on the clock. And so it's kind of hard to compensate for the time that they're taking for their turns. And so what I'm going to do is once they finally do, oh, there we go. They're going to go Gataxian Probe. Nothing wrong with going into the think tank, but when you're trying to deliver commentary, sometimes I get real rambly. I have a tendency to get real rambly. So if they get down something of importance, then I'll jump into commentary. Okay, so we're going to see Ristic Study come down at this point in the game. I feel like we're going to be able to pay for those Ristic Study triggers. I feel pretty good about that one. And so, yeah, I mean, sorry if there's not a lot of action in this game. I'll be honest, one of the things about, I'm getting ready to I haven't had my little girl yet as of this video. If you don't know, my wife and I are expecting. In fact, today is Wednesday. She's due on Friday. And so we haven't had her yet, but there's just certain things where, once I've gotten to about the 20-minute mark with the Commander game, I kind of need to post it because my time is valuable at this point right now. So that is a little bit of a downside. Do we want to, well, either way we can pop. Yeah, because we can just, at any time, we can pop it with Necrotic Sliver. But yeah, I always want to try to get a pretty good video, but once we get to about the 20-minute mark, I've kind of got to post it for a daily video because of how much time I've sunk into the game already. So that's a little bit of a downside, but that's just, kind of how it is. So, so we've got a couple different options. We're going to see that Spire's activation. We've got Siphon Sliver, which, yeah, let's just kind of see what sort of shenanigans we can get going. So let's go Siphon Sliver, and then Ristic Study. Yeah, we'll go and pay for that Ristic Study. We don't really want to give them any extra card advantage, so we're gonna go definitely pay for Ristic Study. Pay for that colorless. There we go. Let's see what we cascade into. Hopefully it's get another Sliver down because we've got Bone Shredder. That's going to be, oh yeah, cast that bad boy. And then that's going to allow us to, now here's the downside. We need to make sure we have enough mana for these Ristic Study triggers. And this is where it feels good when you cascade something into this, into this, into that. That's some pretty good feeling once you get a pretty good stack going. So we'll see if this, that is beautiful. Do we want to pay for this? Oh goodness. Yeah, because then we'll be able to pay one more off of Cloudwing. Yeah, okay, because that's a pretty good mix of slivers coming down, especially with us getting haste. So, all right, Mana Crypt. Yeah, we'll cast that one. Oh, yeah, look at that. Because what we can do is we can still end up, we can use that Mana Crypt trigger to pay for that, too. So look at this beautiful, just almost kind of storm-style stack. That's going to be Sidewinder Sliver coming down. Now, they do have Spires that they can go for, but we can potentially, I think either way, we're going to get these slivers down. Yeah, but to say we can pop one of these slivers. They have life. Yeah, because we want to get a swing in at this point right now. Yeah, let's go for this. So we're going to go, that's going to be red, and that's going to be white off of a Cloud Shredder Sliver. That's going to be a Ristic Study trigger. Let's put the Cascade trigger on the stack first. Let's go for a Scurry 1. We will pay for that Mana Crypt. Look at that. We deployed an entire board state out, and we paid for our Ristic Study trigger. It's like eating your vegetables. We made the Magic Gods very happy this turn. So we're going to get the Scry and the Scurry. We'll see what we can run into, but at least with this Cloud Shredder coming down, we got Shroud and Lifelink. This is a beautiful board state to start swinging in at our opponent. And it's going to get around that Spires, which is going to basically not allow them to untap one of our creatures. It's going to be a pretty good feeling. Yeah, because either way, we can catch. We're not going to be able to get that right now. So we'll see what we cascade into with Cloud. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking we were oh. And we got just enough for one more cascade trigger. Yes, we're gonna pay. Yes, we will pay for that Ristic Study. Oh, that is beautiful. That is couldn't ask for a better turn. I mean, look how explosive that is. But yeah, and this is what makes playing the first sliver so much fun. Is like whenever I first saw the first sliver, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I need to build it because it's a new commander. I just didn't realize that once you cascade into a sliver and you cast that one, you get another cascade, and that is just so good. Very nice. And so I think we're actually doing pretty good. So it's going to be 9, 10, 11, and that's going to be 13, 14, 15, and then that's going to be 16. So we're going to be able to attack half of their life total and be 1/3 of the way there on commander damage. So that's going to be pretty good for us. Oh, okay, so we're gonna get countervailing wins on striking. Okay, that our opponent said that's enough. All right, too many shenanigans. No, we're not gonna be able to pay for that. The good thing is though that they targeted striking sliver because that still gives us sliver creatures you control flying and haste, which is pretty much what we wanted to have happen. So I'm just going swinging with the entire crew, and there we go. And it does look like we're playing against a let me swing. Let me do this. All right, so we're gonna swing in. I'll kind of explain it. Swing in, deal some damage, then pass the turn. You know, there are always different varying skill levels in the Magic Online room. I always try my best to pair up decks against, like the Boogeyman. He's the Boogeyman. Him or her is, at the top of Commander, competitive Commander. It's one of those that is really hard to deal with. And their decks are very well constructed. Everyone has to start somewhere. So if I ever do play against a kind of like a weaker build, people would perceive, just make sure that if you're going to leave a comment, just say like, "Hey, opponent, it would have been nice if you countervailing wins on maybe Cloud Shredder Sliver." That's the only thing. One of the big things that I want to do is, if our opponent ever sees the video, the last thing I want them to see is like, that was the worst Arcanis opponent ever. And so, everyone has to start somewhere. So they may be a newer player with a newer build or something like that. So I just wanted to toss that in there. Typically, that's not an issue, but I at least just wanted to say that my videos are entertainment, but people do use these videos to further themselves as a Magic player. And so, even if you feel like Arcanis could have done something different at certain times during the game, just leave it in the comments and, just have a positive tone to it. And that's all that I ask. So there we go. So we're going to get in for a pretty good chunk of damage. It's going to put them down to 15. If they don't have something like Cyclonic Rift next turn, because we've got the entire protected board state at this point, it's going to be 9, 10, 11, 13, 14 and 15. So that will be exactly lethal, but they're going to get some some life gain from that. But good thing is that we do have Sliver Queen coming down next turn. That's going to be a pretty sizable threat with flying and haste. So that's going to be pretty good and give us some really nice cascade options. We've just got a ton of mana to just blow a ton of stuff up if that's what we need to. We've got Ancestral Vision coming off Suspend for next turn. I bet our opponents played that island, so we're going to go ahead and cross that one off, and we'll get Ancestral Vision over here. That we can kind of keep that checked out. But yeah, and this is what makes this deck fun is that you... Okay, so that is a board wipe. Luckily, we've got the first sliver to bounce back from. Oh no. We've got Ancestral Vision. Yeah, that's kind of not what we wanted to see. Oblivion Stone at this point in the game. I was wanting to close this bad boy out, but if they end up going for that activation, we'll see. Yeah, they're going to go for it now. So that's pretty good. So we don't have to play around it next turn. Because even if they go for it during our turn, we still swing in with the combat damage to see what's going to happen. So yeah, they're gonna get it. All right, so we're hitting the reset button. That they got rid of a lot of our mana too, which is a little bit of a bummer. Thankfully, we still have access to 5 colored sources with that. So the old Oblivion Stone is gonna knock everybody out of the park. So. We did miss out on some pretty good slivers, and so it's always the goofy games that go long like this. All right, so we're got Ancestral Vision. We're going to be able to cash in some cards. I'll definitely want to target ourselves with Ancestral Vision. Um, yeah, opponent just blew our stuff up. We were maybe going to target our opponent, but not today, partner. All right, so we run into Brainstorm and a fetch land, which is actually pretty decent. So let's have, and we don't have to worry about Rhystic Study anymore. So okay, so we go for a Misty. The first sliver is gonna this gonna be 7 total mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we do have enough with Brainstorm to kind of shuffle, put Bone Splitter on top of our library. Bone Splitter would actually be a very good sequencing option for us to kind of rebuild our board state. I think I kind of do like that. So at this point, let's do that. Let's just see if there's something a little bit better on the stack with the first sliver. So that's going to be green, blue, white, black. No, one of those needs to be white. There we go. And then we go red. One of those needs to be blue. There we go. I promise you, I know how to do this. Okay, so it looks like we probably still need to end up going for Misty with Brainstorm. Yeah, well, actually, either way, I think that's fine the way we're going to do it like this. So, yeah, let's do that. And then we still have to tap down Ancient Tomb. So let's go for the first Sliver. I don't even know a word yet. It's going to be Commander Scry, and then we're just going to go down the colored Wooburg right there. There we go. And we're going to go Cascade on the trigger first. So we're going to have Scry 1. And then we'll see what this is going to be, because if it's something that we might want to leave on top of our library, we can hold off on Misty. If not, we're going to go Brainstorm, and that'll allow us to at least put Bone Splitter back on top of our library. Unclaimed Territory, definitely going to put that, well, I guess that would be an extra color lane for us. Now, let's just go and put that on the bottom at this point right now. So let's go and crack Misty. We're going to go Brainstorm. And let's grab ourselves we'll just grab an Underground Sea. Let's go Brainstorm. We're doing this in response to that first Sliver trigger. Look at this. Christopher Rush Brainstorm. Favorite Brainstorm right there. Just so creepy looking. Reminds me of Mr. Bones, to be honest. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually probably just put, if we really want to sequence it correctly, we need to put Hibernation Sliver on top of the library, and then put Bone Splitter on top. Okay, I think that's right, because we're going to be able to dump both of those out. So let's see if we did that correctly. That's going to be Bone Splitter. Yes, we're going to cast that creature. And that's going to allow us to Cascade. And okay, well, I guess maybe I misdid something. I was thinking that whenever we cast that one, we would still get a cat. Oh, excuse me. Okay. I've ran into that before. We don't have the first Sliver on the battlefield. I always forget about that. So once you have the first Sliver on the battlefield, then you can get those Cascade triggers going. So at least we do have a Cascade for next turn. We still have Sliver Queen to go for. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That still keeps us open on Ponder. We do get into a position to where we probably, at this point in the game, we need to leave up to Fairy's Protection. So that's probably something that we really need to try. So in fact, let's see. That's going to be 8 total mana we need to leave up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we should have just enough mana to go Sliver Queen and then leave up to Fairy's Protection. So I think that's probably what we're going to end up doing. Yeah, because that's one of those sequencing things to where I was like, oh yeah, so we can go Bone Splitter, then we can Cascade into that. But Bone Splitter doesn't have Cascade yet because the first Sliver is not on the battlefield. All right, so now we're getting to the late game on this one. We've got Arcanis. That's going to come down with an open Lightning Greaves. So we're going to need to be aggressive on this one. Oh, we need to win this game. Okay, so that's going to be Arcanis, which will be Lightning Greaves. And then, if they tap down Arcanis, they're going to get some card draw. And at least, thankfully, right now, we do have our Slivers. We'll be able to deal with Arcanis. They're going to cash in 3 card draw. They do have an Open Spires, which is something that we do want to watch out for. But at least we still have Breeding Pool. Yeah, because if we shock in Breeding Pool, that keeps us open on Ponder to Fairy's Protection. So at least we can do a little bit of card advantage filtering with Ponder, and then we'll see what we can assemble. We do have Living Death. So if we can find ourselves or Patriarch's Bidding, I think. Either way, we do have some nice Reanimator options out of the graveyard. So if we can find one of those, or if we can look up to the Magic Gods and say, hey, help us out, put it on top of our library, that would be pretty cool. So, all right, see what we can do. Untap target attacking creature and opponent. Okay, I was thinking they could swing in with Arcanis then untap it, and that would just be very, very brutal. All right, so we have Hibernation Sliver, shock in Breeding Pool, and we're going to go Ponder. Well, let's see. We want to leave up to Fairy's Protection for sure. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 total mana. So we're looking at Sliver Queen. Yeah, because even if we not whiff, but Hibernation Sliver is really not going to help us on this board state. So I kind of do like trying to set up a Ponder. So let's go Ponder. Look at the top 3 cards of our library, put them back in any order. And also, little heads up if you didn't, oh, that is yucky. Put those back in any order and then shuffle our library. All right, so that's going to be a Mana Sliver. Luckily, we're not going to, it's probably not the thing that we want to rip into with Sliver Queen. So let's go Sliver Queen. That's going to be white. We need to leave up to Fairy's Protection. That's going to be blue. It's going to be black. It's going to be red, and then we go green. There we go. I feel like I'm in nursery school when I'm like trying to make sure I tap down for the 5 colors. So we've got Sliver Queen. We're going to get a Scurry 1, and a little bit of fever. We'll put that on the bottom, doesn't really matter. Let's see what we cascade into at this point. 3 visits. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically that gives us an extra 4. So yeah, we'll go and cast that. We'll see what force we want to get down. Yeah, at this point, we need to make sure we have a protected board state. Or if we wanted to be aggressive, we could just go for that. But I don't really know what sort of hasty options we could end up getting down. Now, if we go Tropical Island, that keeps us open on Mana Weft or Hibernation Sliver. Yeah, I think that's okay. All right, so we'll grab Tropical Island. It's going to come into play untapped. That's going to be Sliver Queen. Okay. So our opponent blew up the board state. They've got 5 cards in the hand. Yeah, I don't feel, I don't have any good feeling about being tapped out, because if they're going to Cyclonic Rift, if they have a counterspell, they so be it. But at this point in the game, it's almost going to be a loss if we let them. Well, it wouldn't be a loss if they send everything back to the hand with Teferi's Protection. Yeah, might as well just go and dump out some of these creatures. Let's go for Mana Weft Sliver. That way we can get a little bit of extra mana. Or actually, Hibernation Sliver might be the better option for us to pay that 2 life and return them back to the hand. Okay, so let's go Hibernation Sliver. Man, I'm looking at the time on this game, and this is a long one. All right, so we've got Hibernation Sliver. I think we still got some more slivers at 1. We'll see what else we can rip off of this. Yeah, I mean, because I'd like to leave it up to Fairy's Protection, but we need to close this game out. We're getting to turn 10. The longer they keep Arcanis out on the battlefield, the worse. We just need more bodies on the battlefield at this point right now. Okay, so we do rip into Worldly Tutor. We will definitely put, yes, we will cast that. We're going to put something on top of our library, because maybe that might give us the option to help try to close this game out. So we'll see exactly what Sliver we're going to grab with Worldly Tutor. That is definitely something good to grab. So let's get this popped out. What is going to help us out? There we can get a little bit of a better view. Yeah, I like that a lot better. So let's see what we want to grab. I think what we're going to do is grab Thorncaster's Sliver, because that's going to give us a really good cascade option, and it's going to be direct damage that we can deal to our opponent. So I kind of like that. So we're going to go put Thorncaster on top of our library, have a whole Hibernation Sliver come down, and then we're still going to go and push in with the first Sliver and Bone Splitter, because that'll be a pretty good chunk of damage that we can go for. And in the next turn, we still have another Sliver to go for. With Sliver Queen. So let's go ahead and swing in with the entire crew. That will be 13 coming across, but with our opponent having that open spires over there, more than likely we'll see one of those, one of our slivers untapped, probably the first sliver, a little 8-pound, 6-ounce first sliver. So we have gotten to the, as far as pre-edited video, we have gotten to about the 44-minute mark. It just ticked over. And so, yeah, I'm going to let our opponent do some stuff, and then I will jump into commentary. I'm just going to let my voice kind of rest up a little bit, and because I have been recording prior to this, and then we'll jump into commentary. And then our opponent's going to go for Paradox Engine. And just a little bit of a heads up, I am recording in 1v1 Commander. That's why our live totals start at 30. Paradox Engine is not banned in 1v1 Commander. So if you're sitting there saying, well, why not? You know, if it's banned in multiplayer Commander, surely it should be banned in 1v1 Commander. And I would agree with you. So there we go. I don't know. The only downside is that's going to allow them to cash in a pretty good chunk of card draw. So like I mentioned, we're going to let them kind of roll through this turn, and then we'll figure out what's going on. Okay, the opponent's going to go Cyclonic Rift on the first sliver to send it back. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right, so that's going to be the first sliver. And cash in 3 card draw. They still have Gem. That's going to allow them to... Sorry, Dorothy, my production assistant, she's been asleep, but then she just woke up and started sneezing. You okay, Dorothy? She just said yes. She looked at me and fell back asleep. So, anyway, we're going to see Cyclonic Rift on the first sliver. And, yeah. At least, well, no, that's going to put the... we can't flash it in, so... we've still got Thorncaster's Sliver. Okay, we'll see what they end up doing for the turn. Okay, so, man, if our opponent gets something going... here's the deal, man. This has been a long game. If we're at the 53-minute mark, and our opponent is in the think tank on what they're trying to do, they are almost 6 minutes away from being 20 minutes behind on the clock. I'm just gonna toss this over to our opponent. I know they're gonna be able to scoop this. They're gonna be able to get this one. We're gonna scoop this one up. What's gonna end up happening is they're gonna get their rocks down. They're gonna keep casting cantrips and then going from there. Yeah, like I mentioned, normally I'd let our opponent play this out, but our opponent is they're going into the think tank about a minute per spell, and yeah, that is pretty rough as somebody that's trying to record and deliver commentary at the same time. So we're going to go and scoop up because Arcanis being able to untap Paradox Engine is basically just going to be a value engine from there. I'm sure they have some sort of win condition in the deck, but it could be argued that they would maybe time out by the time we get there. But either way, good game to our opponent. They're gonna they're gonna get it on this one somewhere down the road. I'm sorry if this video is kind of an incomplete video, but like I mentioned in some of my earlier videos, once I get to the point where I've spent 20 plus minutes on a given video, I need to release it for a daily release. And we did get some really good sliver action earlier in the game. We got some good cascading, but once you get to about 20 cards in the hand, that is, if you've seen the value train, that is called a value scoop right there, and we're going to go and value scoop. So if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.